Why did the last true supermodel of the 90s walk away at the very moment the world wanted more of her? Laetitia Casta arrived with a face that felt carved out of another era, a beauty so undeniably classic that it stopped an entire industry obsessed with thinness and severity. Yet behind those angelic features was a spirit that refused to bend. A young woman who understood far too early that fame could be a prison disguised as a spotlight. Her rise was meteoric, her image unforgettable, and her disappearance completely unexpected. Tonight, we uncover how Laetitia became the final echo of an era the fashion world still worships, and why she chose rebellion over perfection at the height of her power. She was born far from the polished studios and high-gloss fantasies of fashion. Laetitia grew up between Normandy and the rugged coastlines of Corsica, surrounded by the kind of wild beauty that later seemed to live inside her. Nothing about her childhood suggested a future on the world's biggest runways. She was shy, stubborn, and far more interested in the sea and nature than the idea of posing for cameras. Modeling wasn't a dream. It wasn't even a thought. Everything changed when she was discovered as a teenager during a simple family trip. No training, no portfolio, no preparation. Just a raw, untouched beauty that looked like it belonged to a different generation. The industry was deep in its obsession with ultra-thin bodies and sharp androgynous faces. Yet suddenly, there she was. Soft, luminous, sensual without trying. A contradiction to every trend, and exactly what fashion didn't know it desperately needed. From the moment Laetitia stepped into her first casting, the reaction was immediate. She wasn't just another model. She was a reminder of femininity at its purest form, the kind of beauty you don't create, the kind that simply exists and changes everything around it. Her ascent wasn't gradual. It was an explosion. One season, she was a newcomer with barely a handful of photos, and the next, she was everywhere. The star of Guess campaigns, the luminous force in Sports Illustrated, the French rose that Victoria's Secret pushed into the global spotlight. Brands didn't just want her, they needed her. In an industry leaning toward extremes, Laetitia brought balance back. She was sensual without calculation, elegant without effort, and radiant in a way that felt almost cinematic. But what truly set her apart was the paradox she carried. The world saw an angelic face, soft features, curves that echoed the supermodels who ruled before her. Yet behind that exterior was a fire that directors and photographers quickly recognized. She challenged poses, she questioned concepts, she refused to be reduced to decoration. Every image of her carried a tension between innocence and defiance, and that tension made her unforgettable. As her fame surged, France embraced her as their own national treasure. Suddenly, she was the new Brigitte Bardot, a comparison that both flattered and haunted her. The press scrutinized her body, her weight, her expressions, her personality. She was celebrated as the last symbol of natural beauty, yet simultaneously pressured to fit modern standards she never agreed with. Even so, she continued to rise, walking for iconic houses, gracing the covers of major magazines, and holding one of the most powerful positions in the commercial modeling world. At the height of her success, one thing became clear. Laetitia wasn't just a model. She was the final embodiment of an era that was disappearing, the last chapter before fashion shifted into something sharper, thinner, and less forgiving. And while the world adored her, Laetitia felt something else growing beneath the surface. A quiet unrest that no spotlight could soften. The cracks didn't appear suddenly. They formed slowly, quietly, in the shadows of her success. As Laetitia's image became more iconic, the industry began demanding something she never wanted to give: control over her body, control over her identity, control over the very softness that made her famous. Behind closed doors, she faced a pressure that contradicted everything she stood for. Some brands wanted her thinner, some wanted her more modern. Some wanted to reshape her entirely, as if the woman who revived the supermodel ideal was somehow no longer enough. For someone built on instinct and authenticity, these demands felt like betrayals. The media added another layer of suffocation. Every appearance became a battlefield. Her curves were dissected. Her weight was a headline. Her natural beauty, the very quality that made her shine, became the thing people tried to weaponize against her. Laetitia refused to starve herself into submission, and that refusal marked the beginning of her silent war with an industry obsessed with perfection. Then came the moment no one expected. While her peers chased runway after runway, endorsement after endorsement, Laetitia stepped back. Not loudly, not dramatically, but firmly. She declined shows. She turned down contracts. She withdrew from the very machine that had turned her into a global star. The fashion world panicked, speculated, and invented narratives. Some said she was difficult. Others whispered she was finished. But none of them understood the truth. Laetitia wasn't falling. She was leaving. And she was leaving on her own terms. Stepping away from fashion could have ended her story. Instead, it transformed her. While the industry kept searching for the next Laetitia, she was quietly rebuilding her identity somewhere completely different: cinema. Acting wasn't a strategic move. It wasn't an image reinvention. It was the first time she allowed herself to breathe, to create without being molded, to exist without being measured. On set, she wasn't the French bombshell or the perfect cover girl. She was simply a woman learning to use her voice. Directors noticed her intensity. Critics noticed her depth. And audiences saw something fashion had never let her reveal: vulnerability without fear. Her performances weren't polished or manufactured. They were raw, instinctive, and human. The opposite of the flawless image she'd carried for years. Then came the moment that changed everything. France chose her as Marianne, the national symbol of liberty. Not an actress, not a politician, not a public figure shaped by institutions. They chose a woman who once refused to shrink herself for fashion. The decision was controversial, but it was also historic. It was the first time the country embraced a symbol who reflected a new kind of beauty: independent, imperfect, and powerfully real. In stepping away from the runway, Laetitia didn't lose her legacy. She reclaimed it. She proved that a supermodel's worth wasn't defined by how long she stayed in the spotlight, but what she chose to stand for once the lights faded. Today, when people talk about Laetitia Casta, they don't just remember a supermodel. They remember the last breath of an era, a time when beauty was powerful, instinctive, personal, and unapologetically natural. She became the final echo of the 90s supermodel spirit, not because she tried to fit the mold, but because she dared to break it. Her legacy doesn't live in the number of runways she walked or the covers she collected. It lies in the quiet rebellion she carried throughout her career. She refused to shrink her body for trends, refused to let the industry dictate her worth, and refused to let fame turn her into something she wasn't. In doing so, she opened the door for conversations about authenticity long before the fashion world was ready to hear them. The young models who grew up watching her didn't idolize her perfection. They idolized her courage. They saw a woman who could have ruled the industry for decades, yet chose self-respect over relevance. creativity over contracts, and truth over applause. And that's why Laetitia's story remains so haunting today. She didn't disappear because the world lost interest. She disappeared because she understood something the industry always tries to hide, that beauty means nothing if it costs you yourself. Laetitia Casta walked away at the height of her power and became immortal for it.